First of all, thank you very much. Over the weekend, I surpassed 1 million subscribers here on YouTube, and I am still processing it. It's a huge, huge deal that, it took me a long time to even say the words that I'm a YouTuber when people ask me what I do for a living. And it was really cemented on Saturday, late Saturday night on the 15th, when I passed 1 million. So thank you very much. I appreciate your passion and the mission that we are in together to make this world and our country a better place. And it's through collective action, it's through organizing, it's through spreading the truth that we're going to get there. So thank you very much. I guess in less good news, let's talk about Donald Trump and his steady adherence to fascist principles. He posted on Truth Social this weird quote that he who saves his country does not violate any law. It's quoting Napoleon from a movie. The Emperor Napoleon, and it's a problem. Now look, Republicans would have you think that all of these individual posts and statements and things that Donald Trump has done, they all exist in a vacuum, that we should all just analyze each one of these things as its own moment in time, that it has no connection or anything to do with anything else he's said or done. And that's just fucking bananas. It's just absolutely stupid. If you're one of those people out there, you need to stop doing that. Because Donald Trump, we need to stop giving him the benefit of the doubt. We need to stop giving the Republican Party the benefit of the doubt. They witness these things and they look the other way. It's just crickets from day one. Every time Donald Trump has said something absolutely crazy and out of line with the previously stated ideologies of the Republican Party, up to and including that they love and support the troops, the guy who called them suckers and losers and denigrated John McCain, who was in a Vietnamese POW camp for 5 or 6 years, having his arms broken. Calling him, what did he say about my heroes aren't captured or whatever bullshit, unpatriotic, troop-hating nonsense he said. But since then, there's been all kinds of stuff up to, he said the thing about I'm going to be the dictator on day one. Republicans ignored it. He promised to terminate the Constitution at the end of 2022 when he said a massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. And then later, after there was a little bit of controversy, said, the fake news media is trying to convince people I said to terminate the Constitution. You just read what he wrote. He said this later that day, or earlier that day, unprecedented fraud requires unprecedented cure. I wonder what that means. Wonder what the fascist, the dictator-loving Donald Trump, the autocrat-loving Donald Trump, the desperate-loving despot-loving Donald Trump. What do we meant by all that? I guess we'll just look at the one tweet, the one post, and not include it in the compendium of other fascistic things he said. He also said this on Saturday. He who saves his country does not violate the law. Now, the right wing loves this. White supremacists on Twitter lost their minds retweeting this. What will be done must be done, Jack Posobiec said. More troublingly, though, the White House Twitter account shared this, retweeted this with the ominous image of Donald Trump and his post that he who saves his country does not violate any law. So Donald Trump, now with the support, with the ruling of the Supreme Court, can do whatever he wants. He can do anything he wants, inside of or outside of the law, and he views it as not breaking the law, even if it explicitly breaks the law, even if it explicitly violates criminal code. Donald Trump thinks, well, if I'm doing it for my country, it's not breaking the law. This isn't just for him, though. This also signals to his unhinged insurrectionist supporters that anything they do, because he didn't say anything I do to save the country, I break no laws. He says any man, He who saves his country does not violate any law. He's signaling to the insurrectionists that whatever you do that you deem saving your country is not illegal. That's a problem. Especially when the White House backs this play and shares the same post. So I'm going to read a little bit from this Independent article. One, to give you a flavor for a foreign outlet and what they are taking this as, but also just to highlight how the rest of the world looks at this. And really, if you're not looking at this, if you've been someone who gives Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt, you need to stop. You need to view this all in context of everything that Donald Trump has said, because bad things are on the horizon. There's lots of talk about what Donald Trump has planned, and what measures he will take, what extreme measures he will take to see that his fascist agenda is carried out. Here's the headline from The Independent. Trump suggests he's above the law with ominous Napoleon quote. Trump's allies and Elon Musk are attacking checks and balances with threats to the courts. We're in a situation, by the way, that was promised. This is a situation that they said would happen and that also we sounded the alarm about. And now people are acting surprised that he's ignoring court orders. He's putting himself in jeopardy of criminal contempt of court that likely will be answered with nothing. He'll just go to the Supreme Court, and the 6-3 fascist Supreme Court, the Christian nationalist Supreme Court, will let him do what he's going to do. They've already ruled him immune from criminal prosecution for anything he does in his official capacity in office. And now he's signaling that anything is in his official capacity, that anything he does isn't breaking the law. Here's the article. Donald Trump appeared to quote Napoleon Bonaparte by way of Rod Steiger on Saturday afternoon after his blitzkrieg of executive actions and threats to federal agencies under Elon Musk were challenged in courts across the country, raising alarms that his administration is preparing to shred court orders and ignite a constitutional crisis. We are already in the midst of a constitutional crisis. We are witnessing it. It's not on the horizon. We're here. He who saves his country does not violate any law, the president wrote on Truth Social and Twitter. The official White House account on Twitter also shared the message, endorsing his apparent belief that the president of the United States is incapable of breaking any law. The president, whose efforts to gut federal funding, fire thousands of aid workers, and unilaterally redefine the 14th Amendment, were blocked in federal courts across the country in recent days, invoked a quote often attributed to Napoleon, who justifies his despotic regime as the will of the people of France. Now, I've got two more paragraphs, but he's also doing the Hitler thing. He's also talking about invading Canada for the protection of Canada. He's talking about overtaking Canada, making them the 51st state in the Union because of some justification he's just made up out of whole cloth that they're in danger and we need to protect them. The same thing that Adolf Hitler did in 1938 with the invasion of Austria and Czechoslovakia. I talked about that last week. So it's not just this thing in isolation, in a vacuum. It's everything. It's the fact that Donald Trump has never said a negative word about Vladimir Putin. He loves Viktor Orban. He talks about his love letters to Kim Jong-un. He loved Rodrigo Duterte of the Philippines. He loves these types. He has spoken glowingly, lovingly, admiration, just on full display of Chinese President Xi Jinping, for one, changing the constitution to allow him to be president for life, but also ruling over 1.4 billion people with an iron fist, he says. This is who he is. And Republicans, they're either too afraid, I don't think it's that, or this is the direction they want to bring the country, to ignore court orders, to have a president be a king. Final two paragraphs here. The quote from a president with his own imperial ambitions appeared to come from the 1970 film Waterloo, in which Steiger's Napoleon states that he, quote, did not usurp the crown. Quote, I found it in the gutter and I picked it up with my sword, and it was the people who put it on my head. He says, he who saves a nation violates no law. A movie quote from someone who deemed himself, crowned himself, made himself, declared himself an emperor. Donald Trump and Napoleon don't share a lot in common. Napoleon was an actual military mastermind, someone who went into battle with his troops on the front lines. So there's something to be said about a lack of cowardice on his part. Donald Trump does not share those attributes. He is a physical coward, a weakling, a little bitch who dodged the draft multiple times when his number came up because of his little feet, his bone spurs. Didn't stop me from serving in the United States Marine Corps for several years. Bone spurs. I have bone spurs now still. Donald Trump, it was too much to bear. But they love him because he brings them what they want, which is a fascistic, white, Christian, nationalist state, bringing us closer to an ethno-state, trying to give white South Africans refugee status here in the United States while talking about Haitians being here, eating the cats, eating the pets. What do you think? I invite you to this conversation. You can comment below, or you can call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me as always, daily@dollemore.com. I'd love to hear from you. Please consider supporting this work, not only by subscribing, but if you have it in your budget, $2 a month, not if you're on a fixed income, not even if I'm not your guy. If there's somebody else out there on this platform or others, Substack, wherever, that you get more value from, support them in their work in independent media. It's very important. But if I am that person, click the join button below, see what's involved to become a channel member, $2 a month, or you can go to patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. I'm on social media at Dollemore, just about everywhere. I'd love to see you there. Keep in the fight. Be genuine. Take care of one another.